So Zara has a very different core strategy from its competitors, as well as high brands like Gucci and Prada. It uses a mix of both, a highly controlled and a vertically integrated in-house system, as well as premier locations. They get in cutting edge fashion at reasonable prices, which is very similar to its competitors like H&M. They have bi-weekly deliveries and they just get 3 to 5 units of each size and design delivers so as to reducing the pressure on their supply chain. Zara's main strategy is to get closer to Prada and Gucci when it comes to opening up stores. Next.
Talking about the pitfalls and challenges of Zara, the term increasing complexity of the business as it's growing refers to the idea that as a business like Zara expands and becomes larger and it faces variety of new challenges and intricacies when they were not present or when it was smaller. So the complexities arise from several factors in the scale of business, global expansion, supply chain, the technological demands, regulatory compliance, organizational structures, and many more. Even customer expectations also rises. So, moving on to the other pitfall is that increasing number of employees threatening Zara's informal, collaborative, non-hierarchical, and management model. Now, by these we mean that Zara hires more people and grow as a company. Now, there's a trick that it's unique and informal management style, which emphasizes collaboration and lacks strict hierarchies, which are harder to maintain. Now, in Zara's case, its success has been attributed in parts to its nimble decision making processes and a culture that encourage employees at all levels and contribute ideas to work together. However, as the company grows, it faces many challenges in preserving these informal and collaborative authority and atmosphere. Now, most employees can lead to increased bureaucracy and need to clearer lines of policies for them. Uh, Moving on to other the claims of intimidation affecting Zara's reputation. Now, this is Zara has been accused of copying or intimidating the designs of other fashion brands or independent designers. Now, Zara has also known for its fast fashion brand model, which involves quickly producing and offering trendy clothes. Now, however, this approach has occasionally led to allegations that company copies that design of high-end or independent designers without giving them due credit or compensation. Moving on to the just-in-time production approach, putting pressure to the end-to-end supply chain. Now, by these, Zara and other companies where products are manufactured and delivered exactly when they are needed, minimizing the inventory storage. But this also has a negative approach to it because just-in-time production approach can enhance efficiency and reduce cost. It places significant pressure on the entire supply chain to operate seamlessly and without disruptions. Moving forward to the trends of sustainability in fashion after COVID-19. Now, this refers to the growing emphasis on sustainability and environmentally friendly practices within the fashion industry in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the fashion industry has traditionally been associated with fast fashion, which often involves producing low-cost disposable clothing with negative environmental and social impacts. However, the pandemic has prompted a shift in consumer values and priorities. To cover up this, COVID-19 signifies a shift towards more environmentally and conscious practice and consumer choices within the fashion industry. So, brands like Zara recognizing the importance of sustainability and are taking steps to incorporate it into the business models. Okay, and moving to the last point is treating labor fairly in fashion after COVID-19. Now, in the COVID-19 pandemic, exposed has exacerbated many long-standing issues within the fashion supply chain, including poor working conditions, low wages, job insecurity. So, for that, Zara has been called upon to take steps and ensure that workers throughout their supply chains are paid fairly, provided with safe working environments and conditions and job security in order to build that trust and consumers meet evolving ethical standards. Next.
So moving ahead, now we are here upon the SWOT analysis. We have seen the we have seen that the pitfalls and challenges, how they are going. But now we also need to focus on how the strengths and weaknesses can be assessed. So the strengths of Zara is that it has the speed to market because of its rapid supply chain, the vertical integration of having an in-house design and manufacturing unit, the cost efficiency, limited inventory and exclusivity, data-driven decision making because they are focused very much on the customer expectations, strong global presence, and agile and adaptive things. But with strengths, there are also weaknesses which needs to be looked upon. The weaknesses of Zara comes under the sustainability concerns as it being a issue, fast fashion model. The number of times they produced a product leads to a larger he heavy to the uh, clothing waste. The labor and ethical issues, as we also discussed it in the pitfalls and challenges, limited advertising and promotions, they are not much into marketing, over dependence on European market, imitation, as the claims are already mentioned to them, and the inventory management systems. The opportunities where Zara can look upon into is the sustainability initiatives, as it being a weaknesses, but those weaknesses can surely be converted to opportunities. So here the sustainability initiatives can put Azara ahead into the market with a good will image. It can also strengthen its ethical standards. The e-commerce expansion, along with physical stores, they can also focus on the digital part of the marketing side and selling part. Diversification, geographical expansion, as they are currently is as mentioned in this case study, they had only three distribution centers, but with geographical expansion, they can lead to a much more better network. And finally, the threats. The threats to Zara can be data security and privacy, supply chain disruptions, because only leaning on to a certain supply chain can lead to some changes in the later part. The changing customer preferences, though they are being a fast fashion model, but it's necessary that you need to be very agile to whatever the customer are expecting for. Intense competition, as now this model is open to all, many are very much available to take up this model, and laws of different nations, because they are very much over, as we saw in weakness, they are over dependent on European market, but this can also lead to different threats to the other markets. Moving on to next.
So, looking at the Porter's five forces, let's look at the competitive rivalry, which is pretty high for Zara, as brands like H&M are giving a tough competition to Zara. There is an increase in demand, and the market is going to get from $1.5 trillion to $2.25 trillion by 2025. So yeah, the competitive rivalry is pretty high. The buyer bargaining power, let's say it's medium. The buyer can't really bargain at the Zara store, but if they are getting a similar top at H&M for a cheaper price, they would definitely go there. So they do have different bargaining power when it comes. So the competition plays a role there as well. Looking at the supplier bargaining power, there is a minimum impact as the market is saturated. Most of these brands, they get their things outsourced to continents like Asia. So these brands have substitute suppliers. So the bargaining power of suppliers is pretty low. Talking about threat of a substitute product, it's pretty low because clothes are a basic necessity. So nothing is going to really replace clothes. No real substitutes to them except competitive brands. Threat of new entrants is kind of medium, though it is a saturated market. Today, in a startup world, we are seeing new smaller players getting in the market. And according to a report in McKinsey, the younger generation, the Gen Zs, are definitely preferring or trying out the new brands instead of the big ones. Next. Next. So yeah, looking at the pestle analysis, as Zara is present in close to more than 200 countries. The political analysis of each and every country differs a lot, depending on the climate, depending on the political scenario, how democratic a country is, the high taxation and the trade barriers. These things can easily disrupt the supply chains and sales of a company. The economic state, the state of economy can shift the purchasing powers. During high economic growth, the purchasing power is pretty high. But during a low economic growth, like during the times of pandemic, and right now what we're seeing in Europe, the purchasing power definitely gets reduced, and this can also affect Zara in a country where recession is there. The socio-cultural and demographic segments are ever changing. Consumer preferences are shifting rapidly with millennials and Gen Z. They are opting for online stores and everything. And Zara's online presence is pretty low compared to their rivals. So that's where Zara can work. And also the environmental part comes into the picture here. Use of technology use of technology is one thing where Zara can work too, as Zara is not much into online stores and not much into immersive marketing or anything. Technology is one part where Zara is lacking, and and they need to open an e-commerce website, increase the e-commerce sales through the websites or their social media handles. The legal analysis is that as the materials and everything is outsourced, the Labor Standard Acts and establishing minimum wage, overpay eligibility, child labor, record keeping, etc., needs to be considered when entering a country. And the modern lifestyle trend of green consciousness and being pro-environmental has been growing increasingly popular. Hence, in a report by McKinsey, 67% of the consumers consider the use of sustainable materials to be an essential purchasing factor, while 63% considered a brand's promotion of sustainability in the same way. Next. So here is an issue tree for Zara strategy, where the top line can be increased by getting more number of customers. The increase in price would definitely affect Zara's competition with its rivals like H&M. So increase in customers could be achieved by various ways. That is by increasing e-commerce, by reducing the price, by social responsibility, and by technology. By social responsibility, I mean working on environment and the green issues and care for its workers. As a survey by McKinsey said that 58% of the people do look for how are these companies treating their daily wage workers as well. And with the use of technology, use of immersive experiences in marketing, using augmented reality and virtual reality and other such experiences could definitely bring in more customers. Now, to reduce the operation cost, currently Zara has only 3 distribution centers, and all these are in Spain. So maybe they could have more distribution centers across Asia and Europe. And again, use of modern technology for better demand forecasting and for better customer data is very essential. And these things could reduce returns, and also better demand forecasting can help them uh, make clothing in a better way, which will have lesser shelf life. Next. So here is the report by McKinsey, where younger consumer segments have been more open to experimenting with smaller or lesser known brands during the pandemic situation. And also a trend towards online channel is more pronounced in younger segments. So Zara could leverage its social media, etc., to get to the younger segments. Next. Uh, Consumer expectations of brands are dominated by social and environmental responsibility. So this is a graph where care and health of employees is dominating here, and contribution to helping low paid workers in Asia, reducing negative impact on environment. So these three are the dominating things here. So Zara could take these into account for in the future. And of course, people have changed their behavior towards to achieving sustainability goals. So yeah, next.
Okay, so on the basis of SWOT analysis, special analysis, and issue tree, these are some short-term strategies that we could look, that Zara could look forward.
So first, it can increase its customer experience online as well as offline, which will eventually increase customer satisfaction. Also, Zara is not doing much on e-commerce platform things, so it can shift its focus towards putting more efforts in building its e-commerce platform. Then there is minimal efforts in terms of marketing and advertisement. So it can use immersive experiences in advertisement and interactive advertisement to promote its brand. Also, sustainability in short term can be achieved by care for workers and putting more focus on CSR activities. Next. So talking about long-term strategy. So these are a long-term strategy, which is integrating AI, sustainability, and personalization and customization. Talking in detail about it next. So what are the advantages of integrating AI? So AI will help collect better data, which will eventually help Zara in maintaining and managing its inventory by doing demand forecasting. Also, through this data, it can do trend forecasting, which will help Zara manufacture in a proactive manner rather than in a reactive manner, which it is doing right now. Also, with the data from AI, it can help understand its customer better by understanding their fashion sense, and in this way, they can create designs of their customer preference, and they can keep themselves out of imitation controversy. Also, with the use of AI, it can come one step towards sustainability by reversing the logistics process and reducing the pressure on supply chain. Next. Okay, so why sustainability? As we discussed earlier, after the COVID-19 crisis, consumers have changed their behavior to achieve sustainable goals, and a lot of consumers have become sustainable conscious and are eliminating brands which are moving towards fast fashion, and does Zara need to do something about it? Next. So how to achieve sustainability? So sustainability firstly can be achieved by reducing pressure on supply chain, also by taking marketing initiatives, like first being by returning, like consumers can return their well-to-do clothes to Zara, and Zara can recycle all of them and launch it as their sustainable collection, and in return consumer will get points for the same. Also, the second thing that it can do is where consumers are asked to upload a picture of them donating clothes, and thus they will get points in return. Also, it can it can give more focus to its a sustainable collection called Join Life, and it can do large scale production for that label. Okay, so with this, we end our PPT. Thank you so much.